Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to episode 57, Rocky Off the Rails, track 9. Well, staging, talking about staging today. Or at least that's what I think we're going to talk about. So let's see who we got. We got 6 people here. Great morning to everybody. Closet Branch was here, I don't know when, yesterday probably. Uh, but Dan in Ohio, who's in Ohio right now and will be in Portland, Oregon tomorrow. Welcome to the show, Kevin Brown, firmly set in Illinois. JP down south. I'll be in California Tuesday, briefly, but not down in Orange County. And not down in Riverside either. Okay, so Heinz 57. Dan sent me a joke on my 57th birthday. Sent me a bottle of Heinz 57 sauce. Okay, let's see. Kevin Brown, Andy, hot dog pilot. Oh, somebody's down here. Are you joining the show today? Oh, come on. All right. We got a special guest today. This is the dog. You've heard him before, but here he is. And of course, we don't want to leave out anybody. So there you go. Got Rocky, got Ben Ben. Everybody's here. He's got to be part of the show. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to hold you up here for the whole show. No, I'm not. All right. So you got to sit down there. Okay. Yeah. It's not okay, but that's the way it's going to be. So, there we go. There we go. So, what do we got going on today? First of all, um, as many of you might know, or have been listening before, um, the next 4 shows. No, no, I'm not picking you up. You gotta stay down there. Oh my God. Okay. Mongo says hi, Ben Ben. Yeah, Mongo says hi to everybody. I'll see Mongo later today, and he probably won't like it. No, stay down there. No. All right. So the dog has started this new thing where he now doesn't like to go down half the stairs. I don't know what's up with that. Anyways, the show. Yeah, so who else? Pete's here. Welcome to the show. Liz, Windsor, Windsor Valley Railroad. Liz, thanks for joining the show. And oh yeah, he is adorable. Everybody loves him. He loves everybody. Most of the time, anybody else comes to the house. So Ben will be 5 years old, October 26th. So he's coming up soon on his 5-year birthday. And yeah, Dwight, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. And of course, I believe if Mom found the show, she's watching it. Let's get that banner off of there. Uh, there we go. And let's put the comments the next comment. We'll go up there so people can see it right here. If I'm pointing to the right place, who knows? Or over there, wherever it's showing up. Okay, so I've been helping out my friend Pete for a bit, or at least I think I'm helping him. We'll see. So he wanted to add a staging yard to his layout. This is part of his reconstruction. And so I've got some spare track here. And so if we transition over to this other camera, you could kind of see it, but really the throat to the staging yard. So we're going to talk about a little bit about, do I have anything I can use as a pointer? This piece of wood will do. Okay. So any throw, you start off with the turnout way up here that we can't, can we see? Yeah, there we go. So we've got, this is a 6-track configuration. It could be more, could be less. But basically, it's all Kato Unitrack. It's just easy that way. This is what our good brother Roy Smith used for his staging yard, and it would do nicely for just about anybody. Now, of course, if you've got 6 tracks, then what else do you have? You've got one less turnout, the number of tracks. So there are 5 turnouts here. So there's turnout number 1 up here, and then I've modeled this in a different configuration. There's different ways to do this. One way is to have a turnout and then a bunch of right-handers going all the way up. The downside with that is it really reduces or increases the length of the throat a lot. So if you do it like this kind of model where you've got them stacked, you go from 1 track to 2 tracks, and then this one splits out to another turnout, and then there are 3 tracks on this side, and then there are 3 tracks on this side. And that means that this configuration, you've got a total of 5 turnouts on this side. Now it's kind of the mirror image on the other end, but I don't have a shot of that. The good thing about this is you reduce the total amount of distance that you get or have to invest if you don't have a lot of space, or even if you do. So it's amazing how that quickly this adds up even in N scale. You're dedicating 24 inches just to get to the point where most of those tracks are usable for storage. So I measured these. The If you call down from the top of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these 2 tracks, the outside 2 tracks have 6 feet of capacity, and the inside tracks have about 7 feet. The ones that Rocky is standing on right now. So at the other end, it's a mirror image of this setup here. So what that allows is that you don't have to. I don't know if for those of you that remember Roy Smith's when he went and redesigned his staging yard, he had 2 kind of non-connected things, and there was a run through 1 or 2 run through tracks in the middle, and the other ones just ran out to dead end. The problem with that is, as he pointed out very well, um, the problem with dead end staging is that you either have to back everything in, or you have to run it in and then use your hands to rescue the locomotives from the front, or you got to reverse out. And sometimes, yep, yep. It really comes down to what you want in a staging yard. Yeah, you certainly can use simple opposite ladders at each end of the tracks. They're the same length. Definitely can do that. Um, Again, the primary issue here is if you want to be able to rescue your locomotives from from the head end, then you're set with a dilemma. You either have to somehow switch them off at the front and then push your cars in. And sometimes, our staging yards are not in our most accessible places of our layouts. So they might not be places where it's always convenient to access, or there's limited headspace or room. Um, so I think that when Roy went and redesigned his yard, he incorporated having a complete end-to-end thing. So you come in it on any track and leave on any track, and you didn't have to change. You did not have to change direction. And I gotta go look and see what's Dwight talking about. There's a new challenge up. Dwight, why don't you post the hashtag for your new challenge? Yeah, and it also depends on the desired train length. 6 feet, I would say, is great length for most people on N scale. 7 feet's a little bit better. If you remember my coal train, that would not fit on 7 feet. I would have to use every single line in here. It was quite lengthy. Yep, you can, and that's exactly what I've got modeled here. That because there's a mirror image. So imagine that this view right here is just reversed at the other end. So there's escape tracks for every single one of those pieces there. Now, of course, by doing that if I measure this out, you've lost 2 feet of additional storage capacity off the end. But again, they won't end. They won't end stub ended or no way out. So, anyways, to be honest, it really depends on what you want, what you do. So, if you recall, my staging yard, which is right below where I'm standing right now. So, this staging yard, I've temporarily got it staged. Haha. Um, if you got it staged, where was I? This is on my level two because I don't have my other track set up here. And they're just simply, I'm out of time this month to do any more work on the layout. Except I am hoping to clean up the mess that is up here right now. So, yeah, so that's what I have to talk about for staging yards. Um, Anybody else have comments? JP's made some great points. My staging yard, though, is similar to this kind of concept in that I have 10 tracks and it's bent around this into this peninsula. So I have more room on my tracks, but my ultimate limit is really there's two things that are limiting me. So I'm really limited by metal wheels and or DPUs at the end of a train. And uh, there are several auto reversing sections, even in my staging. That controls really the length of train that I could run without having issues. So if you think about it, at each end of the auto reverser, it's like a block, and the auto reverser changes. It's not the polarity, but it changes. If it's BC, it changes the polarity. If it's DCC, it changes the phase. So if things are out of phase, they will do short. So that's the constraining things on my layout. And what I will do eventually is I will know on each of my staging tracks, uh, I'll put like some kind of clear indicator that lets me know the longest train length that I can run without issues on the layout. All right. So here we go. What does Closet Branch says? I'm already challenged, Dwight. I'm technically and intellectually challenged. Okay. Leave it to Dats to poke fun at himself. Um, yeah. So that's what I have on my layout as far as staging goes. Others, I think, JP, you haven't got your staging built yet, from what I understand. But and there's others. There's lots of other examples of great staging. Again, Roy Smith had his. We had two helixes at each end that dumped him down into his staging below. The one thing he said why he didn't really enjoy that too much, especially I think it was the helix, was that the trains just spent too much time not being seen. But that doesn't really have anything to do with helix staging. It has to do with monsters. Like, can we see it? Yeah, monsters like this behind me. So this is basically a great time sink, as in when the trains go in here, they're not able to out and run in the um, viewable scenic area or the great landscape of Flywood like I have. If you change your So I bet Dats has the secret trick also. If you turn them inside out, then you can actually get another few days out of them. Great tip for international travelers or campers. Okay, that's enough jokes. All right. Um, has all been considered in the grand plan. I kept my helix as short as possible for the reasons you stated. Yeah. And you don't have what's your vertical distance separating your two levels? And I think you've got incorporated in some grade on your main level. Anyways, so it's not about helix. Okay, 12 inches is a respectable grade. For my helix, which is not, it's an oval setup, 12 inches, you'd have to make 3 passes to go up 12. You can see the mine's going up to the third level here. 4.5 turns. Yep, that sounds about right. For and what's the radius on your helix? Oh, that's good to know. All right, lemon juice. Okay. Oh, that's a pretty good one. So You're under 4 feet. You're under 4 feet in diameter. Probably just about 4 feet if you considered a little bit extra room to avoid disaster. Yeah, mine is similar. I've used the widest radius, super elevated curves. So that's not 4 feet, that's less than 4 feet. You know, look at here. I have about 42 inches from side to side here. So 3.5 feet is what I dedicated to that. And that was mostly out of my own design. I decided early on that I didn't want to mess with hand laying the track. I've done it before on helixes. I didn't want to hand lay it. So all of it is Unitrack, and it's all super elevated, and it's the largest size. So that's the largest size has a radius of 19 inches, and then the inner one is like 1.25 inches less. So what's that? 16 and 7/8 or something, 16 3/4. Um, whatever however you calculate, 33 millimeters is the difference, and take that to inches is an inch and a little bit more. Okay, but now we're sitting here talking about helixes. But helixes often allow you to get to your staging. Another way to do it is take a grade down into there. And that's what our good friend Pete is going to do. He's going to have a grade that comes off of his main level to put that down there. Yep. So that's pretty good. That's decent that you've got like just under 2% for your probably your inside track, and your outside track would be 1.7. So or vice versa. Inside track has got the steeper one. Outside track has the lesser. Just because the principles of a circle. So the outside track has more track to it. You're still going up the same vertical distance, so it has a less of a grade. It's also better if you're pulling to have that lesser grade anyways, because when you're pulling up and also doing a circle, that is even extra strain and force required for your locomotives to pull cars up. So, but yeah, we're getting down into the helix shows about staging. So what's the other thing about staging? Staging is just kind of like we're staging stuff we're backstage. We've got trains set up. Uh, we've got we've got trains set up that we want to run as like either a unit or even as unit trains or as local freights or even manifest freights, and we know what they are and we're going to send them out. So on a staging, now what's another thing we could have at a staging? If you're down at another level, not only have an escape but possibly even have um, a loop at the other end that allows you to turn around and come back through. So in that case, even with this setup of a 5-track or 6-track staging, you might even want to add a 7th track if you want to have 6 trains down here. Why? Because you might want to always have like the center track that's straight through be preserved to get back out of here, or even get your locomotives out of here. So it's kind of like having that runaround track. That's quite impressive. Shortest staging track is 14 feet. That is pretty good. That's decent. I think mine's probably about, I don't know what the shortest one. The shortest one is not 14 feet. The shortest ones are on these inner radius. And I would say they're maybe 10 feet. Ah, okay. Yep. That's cool. So Dad's asked, how many staging tracks do you need? Any formula to figure it out? Well, what do you want to run? Do you want to have passenger trains staged up? Do you want to have and the lengths are also important. It's like how long of a train do you want to run in your main line? What's your capacity for running those? Like I said before, you might be limited by auto reversing sections. That actually puts a limit on really what's your total length that you could do. Mine is really gauged by two places right now. One is how long of a train can I fit around the outside of this helix at the staging level? Because that's got an auto reverser. That whole section is auto reversed. The second part is, and there might be another place. Like I do have two auto reversers on my layout, and I will have additional ones because each staging level will require auto reversing when we come back in to support um, coming off of the second level and going up to the third or coming back down to the staging. Yeah, people hit the thumbs up. That all helps. That all helps. And it's time to do the little thing over to the side or over to the side, wherever it's at. I don't know because things might be backwards. But yeah, like and subscribe. You help build the channel. We're at about 478 people the last I checked, which is reasonable and respectable. It also means that I don't have to scramble to figure out any 500 giveaway. And so we'll also interrupt service while we do this. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who's watching either right now or in the future. And if we could, we figure out if you watched in the past, but you know that's probably not possible. So yeah, what else do we have here that we could put in? I don't see anything here. Um, yeah. So oh, we could do this. The trick whistle. Okay. Anyways, enough little toys here. Ding ding. Yeah. So that's the thing. So at the end of the staging yard, you may either have that go back out and might be for continuous running. So it might be like the two tracks that come into it may be coming off of your main line and entering it. And one of the common things is actually to model, just like I always use Roy Smith's example, but it's a good one. Like he modeled that one direction was going to one destination on his layout, and another one was going to the other one, basically eastbound and westbound. Um, the other thing that was convenient for him because of that, I think, was that uh, he could always model eastbound and westbound for like coal loads. That always knew that it's coming out, it's going through Evanston. And his example that coal loads in his place may always going east, and empties may always be coming back, so headed west or something like that. But you might have stuff like that where you decide, hey, I want to have specific loads always going specific directions on my layout, and that for continuous running, staging yard can facilitate that. What it also means is you don't have to have the same train running all the time. You can pull them into staging, you can stop that train, and you can take another train out. So it can add variety without having to go and have the capacity in yards or sidings on your main railroad, on your main layout to store trains. Because that's actually not completely prototypical. The only place trains are storage is like, well, a lot of train cars get stored where? On class 2 and 3 sidings. So it's just track that's not in use, and they just shove whatever cars they're not using at the time. Grain cars, um, intermodals. So yeah, so that's the other approach. If you've got basically what is a stub-ended, if you have if you have a what could be considered a stub-ended or a single destination on your staging, what you can do is then put at the end of it, have one or more of those tracks come out and get to a reverse loop, just like that's basically what mine does here on my layout behind me. So if we go down here, you can see the bottom track here that is at this at the same grade now. It's already come up a bit of a 2% grade. So this is a little higher than the staging you see, or you can't see, that's in front of me down here. But this track here is a little higher, so it's already made up a little bit of the grade to get to the next levels. But this track here does that very thing. So by having that a reverse loop or some kind of thing at the end, or even could be, you could do a Y, I guess, but allows you to turn your locomotives around. It allows you, and that would be really important. It's more important to do that if you've got steam. So if you've got steam, um, you either have to pull the trains off and have a Y. And what's an example of that? Um, if you've seen um, if you've seen people running or showing off the Denver, not Denver Rio Grande Southern, it's Durango and Silverton. So Durango and Silverton is set up like that, although at one end in Durango, they've got a turntable for the locomotives. In several other places along this line to the north to Silverton, and including up in Silverton, they have a Y. So they can take the train that they've sent to Silverton and then they reverse it back, and there's a Y just outside of town. They go up the Y, and then they come back, pull it back out, and then they reverse back into town. And so it's then ready, so they don't have to either have another option is have a runaround track, and then they push back home, or some of the excursions actually have another like DPU type setup at one end. And that's what they do locally here, where there isn't a place for a Y or run around when they pull out of the Oregon Historical Railroad Society's little runs that they do. But if you have room for a loop, what you can do is you can just send your locomotives or send your whole train around the loop and then come back through your staging yard and go back out the other end at the end that you came in on. So that's all an option of all this purpose. So hope you answered some of the questions about why would we have staging? So we have staging so we can have more variety on our layout. And we can pretend that things happen. Like we've got trains that don't have destinations on our layout usually. They might be just passing through, and the switching opportunities are all really local freights, um, or maybe passenger service for local passengers, uh, like the trains out in Chicago, or even on the Starlight out here in Oregon, where the Amtrak makes local stops. Um, but all those things make that so it's possible to have add variety to your layout. Or if you have tons of trains and locomotives, then you got a place to store them that are on the layout and ready to run. So you're not taking time during the operating session to actually get all your cars onto the track or pull them off to make room for other trains. So that's the main thing that you do it for. Now, why did I do it? I don't know, because I'm like only one person running this place. Maybe someday I'll have a few friends over, and maybe that's what we'll do. I have the level two up and running, is we'll have a little operating session. Yes, so that I would consider that like a balloon track. I think balloon tracks are similar to Wise in that they're really meant to like a way for you to reverse your locomotives and get them turned in the other direction. And certainly, you could take in balloon tracks. You could probably take short trains around them, but I think the really intention was to turn around locomotive power. What's JP say? Run container and tanker trains, so those are implicitly unit trains. Stop in the yard for power car swaps, and those are limited car swaps will feed different cars for locals. Yeah, normally, as we see it, we normally don't see unit trains doing any kind of switching anywhere. They're like going from um, the big locations. So an intermodal train is probably running without stop from like LA to Chicago, or from one of the ports on the East Coast, or from Seattle going to Omaha, or I'm not even sure if that's the right one, but anyways, they're going from big yard to big yard where the intermodals are like, well, where are you going to switch those out? Where are you going to take those off and get them onto a different type of transportation? Same thing for tanker cars. Usually, you're going from at least like the oil cars that we've got for the the oil that's coming out of the center of the country, or the coal cars. They're going from mining to consumption, or mining to a port, right? Same thing with the tanker cars on unit trains. So you also might see a lot of unit trains going from car factories that are in like Tennessee or Detroit, or that area of the country, and getting them to port cities. So getting them to um, a city that's got roll on, roll off car transportation, LA, Seattle. So you can model all those kinds of things by the staging, where you may not have the facilities on your layout to process what you're seeing viewed. So you say, hey, I see unit trains going through, but they don't stop in any of my cities. Like, for example, in the city I grew up in, Flagstaff, there was very little local freight that was coming there, but lots of trains going eastbound and westbound through there. I disagree. A nap is one of the most useful breaks. you have as you get older. Excellent, particularly modern trains. Yes, it, they did have their own versions of that back in the day. I mean, think about all of the fruit that was like the apple trains, or maybe even potato trains, or cattle uh, from stockyards. You get you get uh, a lot of type of usefulness for unit trains in those cases. Like you might have like just a big food processing place. Yep, the beet trains that I've sacrificed and turned those porters hoppers. I said, oh no, those are coal porters. They could be called beet porters as well. So, yep. So 9:41. Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. Um, let's talk about what's coming up next week. I've got all the photos ready. I have not put the video together yet, but next, uh, so October 11th is the next show, and it will be there will only I don't believe I'm going to have an after the show. I do probably have the bandwidth to get on, but I'm going to be quite a few hours different being in a foreign country. So um, I'll try my best to actually join in with the comments and watch the show together. But I think at the time that the show comes out, which is 9 o'clock, puts it at, well, I don't have it on this computer, but I should. I think that puts it at midnight. I don't know why New Zealand is so many hours different from China. But yeah, I think it's just much further east. Um, yeah, so we will be at layout photos next week. The week after that, I've got a little bit of this. I don't know. I don't know how the chat starts and ends for premieres. Um, but I think you can keep chatting, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's, but I don't know when it ends. So I think we'll find out, won't we? Um, yeah. Okay. We'll find out next week. So 11th will be layout photos of the month. Let me get a calendar up here so I can talk to this. The 11th is that. The 18th, I've got a little segment that I, well, let's say I haven't gotten enough time left to actually build the model that I was going to do as a segment. What I am going to do is at least walk through the initial things about there is a car maintenance facility that I'm going to build for the rest of this year, I guess. And I haven't had a chance. I've never had a chance to actually go through and paint it yet. So maybe today, maybe tomorrow, I'll paint it and then I'll do a little short segment on the results of the painting. But I don't think I'm going to get to the point of assembling. So there may be two shows for that. My birthday show, I'm going to have a special, I think. It all depends if I've got time to film that. So that will be also a 9 live show. And then November 1st, will also be something else. So I think I might have time to put together a little bit of talking about some topic from China, but we'll see. So, as usual, I don't really have the plan that I should have. I usually make up the shows like a couple days before if I'm yeah, so Klondike says, "Hey, welcome to the show, Klondike. I missed you coming in, but thanks for being here." Chats end automatically at the end of the premiere and live shows. Okay. So there are trains in this. There are train tracks in the city where I'm at. I'm not sure how much time I'll have to ask people, "Hey, take me in. I want to go and shoot trains." That probably police might. I don't know. What are you shooting video about trains? Well, that's what I do. But yeah, I think there's because it's a port city. Um, there will be lots of trains bringing goods in from other parts of the country. So I might see if I can actually get some locations where I capture. I've never seen in that city. I've never seen trains running. Other cities I have. I've seen like local trains running, but and been on several trains in China as a passenger. But yeah, so that's what we got coming up. And then November 8th will be October's photos of the month. And there'll be the live shows will start up again. So Rocky Off the Rails will well, this the brand will still be there and the shows will continue to iterate, but they won't be live shows for a few weeks. So that's what I've got coming up. Um, everybody's free. I mean, I'll set these up as premieres, so there'll at least be about maybe 10 minutes or so to chat amongst yourselves, joke about things. Dats can talk about his obsessions. Um, yeah, so that's what we got coming up. I am going to be busy cleaning up stuff because we've got my brother's coming into town tomorrow. He has to get up super early tomorrow morning, or maybe not go to sleep. I don't know. And then another friend is coming in on Monday, and their jobs is to take care of the dog because when I leave on Tuesday, and for those of you who might be tracking who are up to nefarious things, there will be people in my house 24 by 7 and a vicious killer dog. So don't think you can pull any shenanigans if you know where I live, because I'll come after you. Okay. Um, yeah. Dan has been through this before 2 years ago. Mom has been through that before 2 years ago. Mom had some great adventures in Portland when she was here. And then I thought you're going back to work Monday. JP, build the upper levels. I don't even have a track plan to give you. It's normal for me. I just make this stuff up. So I'll just have a general idea, start laying track. And then, oh no, I got to pair it up because it's wrong or that. Yeah. And that is one of the reasons why, initial planning even though I don't like. So here's one thing I love about Kato Unitrack. You can put it down and you can pick it back up. One of the things I don't like about it is this: the radiuses are not as flexible, and definitely the turnouts that are usable. I'm talking about the number sixes here. They don't make the most compact yards or even uh, sidings or even passing sidings that just take up a lot of more room than like Pico turnouts or even Atlas ones. By the way, I won't use Atlas. Why? Because I don't like that switch machine surface mounted. I like them out of sight. I even think they look uglier than Kato Unitrack from my perspective. But there you go. So yeah, so that's one problem that I have. Oh, I must have a disaster here. One problem I have is I've already built the benchwork. Now the plans and turnout locations have to be fit within that and make sure that there aren't pieces of wood directly under the turnouts, right? Or places where modules join together. So that is then a limiting factor over really where you're planning to put turnouts really. So anywho, I think we'll call this one. Let's go back over, see if Rocky agrees. Yeah, he's been staring at this off into nowhere. um, yep, I hear you, Pete. Although, you know what? Eh, you use what you got. So if that's what you got, I mean, back in the day, I mean, I could bring out these. There was a track plans by Atlas, of course, and they showed all their equipment. In fact, one of my dad's first layouts that he built, not completely, but it was based off of Atlas sectional track. Yeah, he is definitely deep in contemplation, and he's thinking about escaping to Windsor Valley to go and munch on hops or drink at the pub in his name. Yeah, they were never finished. That's the thing. Layout was never finished. In fact, for those of you who are following Mike Pfeiffer, he's almost done, and he's already going to add more. So I fully expect that from Mike, as we did from Roy. I mean, Roy got done, and he was like, "I don't like this," and he was in the process of changing it, of one of the many changes that would happen over time. So that's about all we got for this show. Uh, Andy, for the next month, just keep in mind, get to the chopper. All right. So thanks everybody for watching. We got 14 people out there. Applause to you. Um, again, if you enjoyed this, like and subscribe. You'll see more of this. You'll see the next month, you'll see premieres throughout the month of videos. They won't be live. Um, and then November we'll be back and we'll be rocking. And November 8th will be another live show after the photos. And then we'll figure out what we're doing then. Certainly at that time, I will be still suffering from jet lag. I don't even know what time zone it is, but it's great having you all here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking, subscribing, And thanks for hanging out with just a silly person like me who's just trying to talk about trains for an hour every week. All right. So thank you all, and I'll be back. So see you next time.